You can start.
Okay. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you will go. Great words said by Dr. Sears. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I, S. Malvika, on behalf of CSE Department of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Vadapani campus, take immense pleasure in welcoming you all to attend today's guest lecture on database in industry. I would like to thank our management and the department for helping us organize the meet in such short notice. Amongst us today, we have a very renowned data scientist with almost 30 plus years of experience in the field of strategy definition, consulting, and IT services, banking, finance, and insurance, and much more. A man who has devoted his career to the growth of business intelligence for every company he's been a part of. He currently holds the position of a lead consultant, machine learning and artificial intelligence, representing the Emphatic Solutions. Machine learning and artificial intelligence, two beautifully complex yet fun fields. It's an immense honor to have the opportunity to welcome Mr. M.D.E. Sambat Margabandhu, sir. Such an illustrious mind on stage. We are much awaited to hear from you, sir. We kindly hand over the session to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Let me share my screen first. Start. Sharing my screen now. So can you all see my screen? Hello? Can you all see my screen now? Is it all visible? Okay.
No, sir.
All right, let me just check. It's in presentation mode only. Share. Okay, so 1 second, let me just do that. Window. Yeah. Can you see this? Can you see it now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay.
No, sir.
Can't share your screen there. That's good. Well,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It says.
Yes,
1 second, ma'am. Yeah. Sharing. 1 second, ma'am.
Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
I'm just trying to share my screen.
Yeah, you share the screen.
Can you see my screen now? Is it okay? Let me know if you can.
No, sir, it's not yet visible.
Oh, it still says can't share your screen. Errors occur while sharing. I don't know.
Sir, like if you share, it will show as 101, sir. Like 100 is the limit, so we can't share the screen, sir. Like one person should be left, then only we can.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, Malavika? Malavika, can you please leave? You please leave.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Sure, ma'am.
98 now. Okay. How about now? Okay, once again.
Yes, it's visible.
So is it? Can you see the presentation now?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, good afternoon and thanks for this opportunity. And I've been talking to your ma'am, and then she's been asking me to present it. So so I've just prepared in a hurry. So if I've missed out something, so don't worry about it. But because my work is because we are in the middle of implementing a ML solution for one of the customers, so it's in the last stage. So that's right. No issues. What we are going to do is we are basically going to talk about the database and its trends in the industry. So I just want to give you an overview of what exactly the industry as such is expecting. Right now, see the definition of what we normally learn from the academics is slightly different from what the expectations are from the industry perspective. Example, let's moving to the first slide. So you must have seen all these logos, right? So what do they do actually? They are simply database companies which come out with products, like for example, right from starting from Sybase to Oracle to SQLite or SAP, right? These are companies which provide database services. They come out with the database products, and over a period of time, they evolve their product to move to next level, depending on the trend which basically happens, in the industry. And then these trends are, in fact, I'll talk about the trends, and these trends are primarily driving them to move to the next level in providing services, in providing adequate services to the customers, holding large databases, and looking at what exactly the insights of this database are. So normally what we call this as a single source of truth, right? So from a company perspective, when I go and talk to the customer always says that I want a single source of truth. A single source of truth could be an Excel sheet, or it could be a Word document, or it could be a database, a large database, or it could be a big data size of an implementation. What they turn to say is like, I need something which is authentic, which can provide me insights, which can also help me out in terms of looking at what I can see from this and what I can get, and how do I basically grow my business. At the end of the day, it all boils down to what exactly they can do with this one. So all these guys, like right from IBM to the smallest of all, would focus primarily on how do I basically provide next set of services, and what is the industry trend, what is the changing trends, emerging trends, and what are all the things which we need to look at. For example, new platform technologies to address the needs of the business is a primary goal, right? And how do I basically innovate? So the innovation is primarily being kicked off on a daily basis to these guys, and so that now they will start looking at features, additional components, and looking at their competitors, and then see what competitors there, because if you really look at the industry, so you have multiple grades, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 companies, or as a similar way, or you have the databases as well. So these guys would compete with their equivalent in the same tier, and they will also try to jump to the next tier to see to that what exactly how they can compete with. For example, if they are looking at say if SQL Server is there, and then if somebody from, say for example, MySQL wants to really tie up or really give a good fight with SQL Server, so they have to bring in a lot of innovation into it. They should basically understand what is the company trend, what is the changing trend, what is the emerging business trend, right? So it is not only just the database trends which we are looking at, we need to look at it from the business side of it as well. So this is just a definition of DBMS, which you all know, right? But from a customer perspective, the definition would be like, I want a single source of truth, which is primarily efficient, compact, and it also basically gives me relevant data and reliable data as well. So this is a slightly different version of what we see from our database definition, where we talk about efficiency, compactness, reliability, and we'll also talk about normalization, all the stuff. But from the customer side of it, when they talk about it, they'll always come back and say that, okay, look, this is when I say customer, this is the industry I'm talking about. The industry expects us to understand, or industry expects generally, from a database side, it provides a single source of truth, and it should be able to provide the data at a minimal request, or because you cannot wait for a longer time, so the time period should be short, and it should be efficient, and it should be compact, and it should basically provide a complete information, end-to-end information, without any sort of gaps in that. So this is the primary expectation from the industry from a DBMS perspective. So you have the database servers are all there, but you have different types of servers, but these servers provide this information, but customers are not, these days the industry is not really focusing on the servers part of it, because the reason being that your on-prem, your cloud, your hybrid kind of a structure or architecture is providing them adequate support to basically handle that. So that the servers earlier, if you look at 10 years back, now the server components were on high demand, and then we were literally looking at how do I optimize it, or do I need to basically go in for a RAID 1 or a RAID 5 for this kind of implementations? Do I need to basically go in for a distributed or a consolidated kind of a stuff? right? So those kind of architectures were looked at during the old days, and how do I basically transfer data from one location to the other location? Do I need to do a single phase commit or the 3-phase commit, right, using Sybase and all the stuff? So we were looking at that 20 years back or 10 years back, but now things have changed in a much drastic way. People are talking about cloud, people are talking about hybrid information, hybrid implementation, because I'm currently working on a hybrid kind of a installation where it basically works on it. So what is this changing trend? Why changing trends? What causes these changing trends, right? A trend, we need to understand it from a business perspective and relate that to the database side of it, because we cannot simply just say that, okay, industry is changing, I need to change. But what causes this? Primarily, the business strategies is due to the consumer demands. So the consumer demands are very huge in nature, right? If you really look at it, now there are diversifying consumer groups which are primarily expecting more and more information to be passed on, or any new innovations which basically happens in their domain. So they expect more to come. So that's when they diversify, they start looking at putting things in a different way, and so the demands increases, and they start looking at it. And diversification of business and its trends also. For example, if the business primarily is providing only a telecom services, I'm just giving an analogy, right? This is a simple stuff. A telecom services can also go and provide, say, something else, like, for example, say a retail outlet, though they can start a retail outlet and they can start serving, right? So those kind of combination of business basically gets evolved, right? So say, for example, so we have done a similar exercise for one of the customer in Spain, where the customer called us and said that, hey, look, we want you to use this telecom information and then start providing. I just want to basically start giving information to my retail customers so that they can start their outlets. So this was a one-liner problem statement which we normally get from the customer. So how do we basically go about doing it? Looking at the data, looking at the usage of the customer, store it in the database. Look at the database and see what are all the customers, who are all the customers who are there, and what sort of usage they basically go with. For example, if you take a particular place, like in Chennai, say Vadapalani, your place, right? In your campus, right, near your campus, you have Vijaya Mall. So how frequently people are commuting or passing the particular place? Who are all the people who are basically passing on? And what are all the other retail outlets over there, right? And then who are all the customers who are basically passing by, their own customers? And then what are the profiles? So they look at the profile, they look at all those, and then we call it as breadcrumbs. So these breadcrumbs provide insights to the business exploration. So how do we basically go about doing it? Is primarily storing this in a particular database, pulling out be it a Teradata, or be it a SQL Server, or be it an Oracle. So that's the next thing. Technology is not an immediate need for them. The primary objective is to primarily store it in a particular place, pull out that information, and combine that information. That's when your diversification of business, and it supports your trends, right? So this is the trend which we can look at, and then how does it basically apply this analytics part of it on top of it. So the analytics parts or insights are primarily driven by the customers, what they are looking for, and then what type of customers you are addressing, and how do I basically predict my future needs of the customer, right? And is the customer going to stay, or is there going to be a churn of the customer? So those kind of analysis can also be done, and that primarily leads to your business diversification, business growth, change in strategy. So these are the change in trends which basically drives the business, and then it also drives the technology part of it. The technology doesn't drive directly, right? Because at the end of the day, it is primarily the business. So this is the biggest difference between what we learn and then what we apply, right? So what we apply is primarily understand what exactly the customer needs are, then apply our techniques and technologies and the other part directly onto that, so that it basically becomes a full-fledged activity. And then the business competitor. So the competitor analysis, we normally do this competitor analysis. Competitor analysis are primarily required, for example, if Airtel is competing with Vodafone, so they will basically have that complete competitor analysis done in terms of their usage, in terms of the spread, in terms of their base station, mobile switching station, how the mobiles are being used and how this customers are using their features, how many prepaid, postpaid customers, how many people come in and go, how many roaming customers do they have. So these information gets stored in the database, but the database should be efficient in such a way that it basically provides you a clear information to the customer for doing the further analysis, right? Then it comes up with the emerging technology. How do I basically utilize my emerging technology to cope up with the flowing? I won't say growing needs. Actually, it's a flowing need actually, because if you really look at the data which we normally get, right, and tons of data which basically flows in a day, and millions of rows comes in, and then where we need to process those data and provide insights to customer on a daily basis to say that, hey, this is where you're looking at, this is where you're losing money, this is where you are not focusing but still the customer is basically providing you more benefits. So that kind of information comes from the business. The trends are primarily being set. The reason I'm talking about this particular stuff is when you're moving from your academics to the industry, the change which we need to apply is not just a technology part of it. We also need to look at what the industry is, which industry we are going to work on. So even if you are going to be a service provider, but you'll still be providing services to a customer. So look at what the business is, what exactly they do, and who are all the customers who are there, or who are the competitors over there, and what sort of services they provide. More from a domain perspective, understand the domain, then move on to the next one, which is primarily the changing needs, right? So why these changing trends from our database side of it? Many of these RDBs, right? We have difficulties in storage. For example, earlier initially we were talking about DBMS systems. Before that, we were talking about file systems, right? And DBMS has its own limitations, and RDMS started putting all the limitations because of the blob and plob, which cannot hold large databases, and so they had this issue of storing it, retrieving it on a timely basis, on a periodic basis. Applications couldn't retrieve it on time, so that's when they started moving into the big data side of it, or right, semi-structured, structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, right? And for the demand for the data in form of others, and forms and others, or just so this is the demand is very, very high in terms of what the needs are from the customer side of it, right? And next one is the adaptation of e-business, e-com business, or you look at the e-business part of it, trace and online databases, high demands on change in capability and capacity. So like what we call it as the big 5E, right? Where veracity, velocity. So those kind of stuff, right? Their capability and capacity are primarily the key focus for the change in trends, right? Will the system be able to will we be able to hold so much of data? That's the first thing. That's basically a capacity, right? And will it be able to provide services to say 500 customers, or if I'm going to basically acquire a bank, and will I be able to basically bring those data into the system, and will I be able to provide that? So do I have adequate technology? Do I have adequate say technology in sense your application will be able to provide that, but underlying databases, underlying systems need to support that, right? That's the next expectation from the customer. Growing in e-commerce in terms of enterprise portals, which are will the open source market be good? So these are the primary changing demands or changing trends which we could see from the industry perspective, combining that with the business trend. So we cannot isolate these two, right? The business trend drives your changes in technology. It's not the other way. The change in technology doesn't drive the business, but change in business leads to change in technology, and the combination of this basically provides adequate support to the customers for either for diversification or growing the business in a particular way, or cross-selling, upselling, and all this stuff will basically comes into picture only by the combination of this. Okay, so then what are the current trends, right? I basically picked up from my presentation, so don't worry about it. So this is primarily more from a perspective of what the current trends are. So what I could see from this is like multimedia databases, distributed databases, right? Documented. You must be familiar with all this, but I've just listed down some of this to primarily, help you out in terms of recollecting and moving forward. So if I see this as a trend, right, multimedia databases, there's a phenomenal growth in this multimedia databases in the recent past, and many of my customers who are they're in UK, US, and other areas, they're primarily focusing in terms of getting the data, getting those videos, getting those audio, and converting that into text, right, which we normally do from a text analytics perspective, and converting the digital images. Right, we are working on an AI solution for one of the customer, where we are looking at sensing the taking the pictures of a vehicle, right, and then we are also looking at how this vehicle can be tracked by using drones and things like that. So if you look at it from that perspective, the multimedia databases is expanding exponentially in the industry. It is not just a normal expansion, so it's a phenomenal expansion where we are basically taking the pictures of it, we are storing it in different ways, and then we are providing services to the customer. Primarily acquisition. Okay, I'm talking about acquisition, generalization, and storage. These are key areas of this multimedia database. In fact, so when you acquire a data right now from, so then you have to basically understand what exactly this data is all about. How do I basically acquire this data? Where do I store this data? And then how do I retrieve this data? These are three major key factors which we normally look at from a multimedia database perspective or any database perspective. But multimedia databases, because the data which basically comes in are pretty large, and then you need to have a proper tagging for that. So whether the database supports that, or do I need to basically bring in a combination of that? So those are the analysis which we need to do when we talk about those specific areas, right? How do I basically transmit? The next one is the transmission. Transmission, we always look at how do I transmit these over the network, right? Will my network be able to support that? Do I need to basically go in for any additional network facility for this? So those are the things we normally look at from a multimedia perspective. Distributed databases, of course, right? Distributed databases have been there for quite a long time. Oracle, SQL Server, Microsoft, all these guys have basically been working on this distributed server side of it, and we have been. I think it is sort of in a matured state where distribution can happen across countries, and we have been working on that. So distribution is one area we also focus on that in the current changing trends, but it is slightly changing, as I said, from a cloud to on-prem to a hybrid kind of a structure. So say they are looking at how do I basically provide distributed services between a cloud or an on-prem or a hybrid kind of support to my customers, so that the customer doesn't have to spend a lot of money, or if they've already purchased hardware, how do I basically help my customers in utilizing it? So those are the aspects which they are looking at. From a document orientation databases, how do I basically store those documents, retrieve the documents? So you'll basically MongoDB and all those things are primarily required for this. And mobile and embedded databases are the next set of next gen thing which is coming up, and which is already there, but it's still in the process of evolving, because you have to basically have the supporting layers which can provide that information back to your customers, right? So this is where the current emerging trends are. And the streaming data. So I'm just giving you a few examples of these areas, right? Streaming data is primarily, you basically stream the data, and then you capture the data. It could be a video or whatever it is. And the interactive videos are primarily the techniques which is used to blend interaction and linear. Okay, I think there's a O which is missing. Sorry about it. I was just typing it and then I think it got missed out. So the technique which we blend the interaction between your linear film or a video, right, with a text, right? We normally call it as an interactive video. So these interactive videos are primarily, in fact, if you really look at large banks, like for example Barclays of the world, or even Lloyds Bank in UK, JPMCs of the world in US. So they have already started implementing this interactive videos, and using this, they also capture the behavioral aspects of people, right? Then it basically goes back to the analytics part. So these two go hand in hand, provide the interaction to the customers, look at what the customers' behavioral patterns are, capture that information, and then store it in the database, and then they take it forward. So this is where multimedia basically comes into play in a big way. Digital libraries, of course, now you have a lot of libraries where they just show the image, show the information over there, and image retrieval is one of the activities which we normally do. So the primary example of the streaming data is primarily electronics and telecommunication computers architecture, and interactive videos. We do use YouTube and interact. YouTube is one of the biggest example of this. But still, if you look at the other side of it, how do I basically in many times, right, the customers basically comes back and says that I want to basically provide an interactive video to my customer in terms of reducing the onboarding of my customer. How do I basically do that? If current steps are basically taking 2 days time for me to onboard, how do I reduce it to 2 hours or 3 hours? And then how will I basically go and project this to my customers? So these are, if you go to places like Singapore and Malaysia, so they have already started doing this kind of thing where they'll go with an iPad or a digital display set, and then they will also talk to the customers, explain them how they can quickly get onboarded, taking the photo immediately and giving them the information, and then within half an hour or 1 hour, they will have their account open. Right, could be it in an insurance company or in a bank. So these interactive videos also provide a lot of insights to what is happening, how they can facilitate that. Libraries, of course, now we have Googles of the world where we basically have a lot of things. And then image retrieval is one which is also catching up a big time. So this is primarily in retail business. I don't know whether we have seen that, right? In retail business, if you go and say that I want to basically buy a hat, you will basically get 200 types of hats. So those are primarily being tagged and then put that in the database, and then they fetch the information real time or near real time, and then they provide you this. So this is where the trends of the databases are changing. For example, the way in which we basically see from an academic perspective is completely different from what we see from an industry. It's not that the concepts are the same. See, what I'm saying is the concepts, what we learn in academics is absolutely the base. But if you look at it from a trend perspective, because of the changing trend, emerging trends, right, as we see, it basically changes in a drastic way, right? Again, distributed databases where this is primarily, this is what I was talking about, right? When you have primarily logically interrelated databases are primarily used for distribution. For example, a bank can have a distributed system, which can have one in UK, one in US, one in Japan. So then they'll have the distributed databases, which is distributed across, and then they will start communicating. It is logically correlated primarily because if you take any bank data, it is primarily correlated. Each and every aspect of the data is correlated, right? This is more from a data science perspective, but still, right? But they are logically correlated, and they are evenly distributed so that a person with single sign on can log into one, and then they can be able to fetch it wherever they are. They don't have to worry about whether they need to log into the server or that server. So this is this is one more changing trend in this industry, where customers are primarily or the businesses primarily looking at how do I basically provide services to my customer irrespective of his location, wherever he is. How do I, and what sort of information I need to provide, right? And if I have to provide a single sign-on. For example, we did a similar exercise for Pfizer a few years back, where the customers, they acquire a lot of companies, a lot of medical companies, and then they add those features to their Pfizer customers. And assuming that I'm practicing doctor and I'm a medical specialist, and if I basically if I attach myself to my a particular hospital, and I should get all the features of what they have basically signed up for. And when I go to my clinic, I should see only those which I have signed up for, right? So those are the single sign-ons which are being dealt by the business, and which is pretty absolutely seamless. So this is where the industry is primarily, the trends have changed completely from a pure play technology distribution to a business associated distribution. How do I basically associate my business and then plug in my technology part of it? So we always call this as a wrapper, right? So your domain basically wraps over the technology and then provides services. So then, so these are primarily the emerging trends in the industry. It's primarily NoSQL is catching up big time, right? And if you really look at some of our big data implementations, it basically people are moving from. In fact, I do have one slide which I've done recently for one of my customer, where we have clearly articulated saying that how do you move from your structured language into, or for example, structured databases or RDBMS into your NoSQL, right? What are the steps you need to take? How do I map your 1-to-1, 2-to-2? So if you basically, if you put a layer of an inception layer, and if you have multiple layers, and if you say you're an inception layer and you're basically doing this your data acquisition using this technology, and what is the similar technology you have on the other side? So those are the, the trends which has basically gone beyond the expectation of the customer. So that might basically provides them a choice of like what exactly they want to do, how do they want to choose. I can always go for Cloudera, or I can always go for something else. So those are the choices which the industry has basically done, or it has been developed because of the changing trend, right? From a cloud platform, I talked about cloud platform is one big thing which is really going very fast, right? Growing in a broader way, where customers are, in fact, quite a few customers in the UK have moved from an on-prem to a completely cloud-based. It's all private cloud-based right now, private cloud, and then they have moved all their applications so that they don't have to worry about whether they have to maintain it, they have to buy a new hardware or new software, right? All these things have been done by the service providers automatically, and then if they want to expand it, it expands automatically. If you want to shut off one portion of it or one application, the sunset can be done very easily. You don't have to worry about the hardware. You don't have to worry about whether the DBS are available, other guys are available. So, and whether we have skills in those areas also. So those are pretty much handled in a much broader way, and business can really expand. So this is one emerging trend from a cloud perspective. And automated management is one thing where people are basically looking at an automation. How do I basically automate it, upgrades? So this is, I can give you a few examples, quite a few examples in this one. There's a company which basically sells commodity hardware, based out of Bangalore. They are primarily into automated management, where they basically send those information. For example, Teradata also does it. If they read the logs, they basically ship the logs back to their servers, and using big data technology, they reads it. And if they find that there's an issue with the software, they'll prepare the next version of it or of bug fix, and they send it across the server automatically, seamlessly, and then it basically gets updated without the user knows about it, without the system basically being shut down. Because normally earlier we used to basically take the CDs or take the drives and then plug it in, and then we need to run it, we need to see, we need to test those applications. Now these days, the automated management basically does it in a very efficient way, right? There's a company called NetApp which basically does it, and many of the companies, not just NetApp, right? There are other companies who are doing it, but I could think of NetApp because we did a big data implementation for them. So the next one is increased focus on the security. So this is one area where people have been questioning on the security part of it, but so the things are primarily being addressed from a security perspective by every service provider. And then there are security softwares, and because of this emerging trends, right, the security is also the data security has basically gone multifold, and where we have basically done tokenization, right? Tokenization to be for the users to use it, who can see, who cannot see the data. So those aspects have been built in, and this is primarily a bigger emerging trend in the industry, right? And these are the products. You must be very familiar with these products, right? Oracle, Microsoft, MySQL, and these are all NoSQL databases, right? NoSQL databases is catching a big time. As I said, this is primarily in terms of the flexibility of, because you don't have to basically have somebody who understands the RDBMS or the SQL code to write it. and then you need to write an efficient code for your system to basically be properly working and all the stuff. So I've basically put a star on the other side. The reason being that, so these are the areas of focus for somebody to basically move into, or if you really want to basically upskill, right? Since you're you're basically in the middle of academics here, so you can start focusing on these areas. For example, elastic scaling. How do I basically look at elastic scaling? What are we can compare the elastic scaling from one product to the other product, and then understand the difference, so that will basically help us out in terms of providing a particular or going out with multiple choices. Right? It's not that you need to basically go in only for HBase. You can basically look at other SQL, NoSQL databases. Right? So those kind of analysis would come only when you start looking at those side of it. For example, big data. How do I basically provide which systems or which NoSQL databases I can suggest for big data implementation, right? So how do I basically reduce my DBA activities? So those are the kind of innovations or thought process which people have put in place, and the trend has basically changing. The emerging trends are primarily pushing these guys to, I'm talking about the technology guys, to basically look into those areas specifically and then start looking it out, right? How do we basically reduce the DBA? Because the dependency of DBA when it comes to RDBMS is really, really huge, right? Even if I have to change something or an upgrade from say a 10.5 to 11, I have to basically sit with the DBA, help him out in terms of understanding it, pre-test, post-test, right? And test each and every concept portion of the application to see that it basically works, right? So on the other side, flexibility of data models, right? So what sort of flexibility? So the reason I put these points are primarily for this particular group to just focus on, and these are the points which will definitely help you out in terms of when you go and start working or start your career, be it a database person, or be it an application person, or be it an R&D guy. So you have to basically understand these areas, right? And if you start focusing on these areas, it will be really helpful for you. The major challenges from the NoSQL is maturity, right? Now there's always a maturity problem. We keep talking about it. It is not as mature as RDBMS, but they keep assuring that no, it is mature. But there's always a gap in terms of what we expect and what they provide. And in support, you always have that big time support gap, right? And how efficiently it provides analytics or supports analytics and business intelligence, there's a question mark because of the way in which it's been done. And the last one is primarily in terms of how to. Okay. The last one is primarily where exactly the the resource pool for this is, right? If somebody is in this group is primarily focusing on any of an R&D kind of stuff, this is the best place where you can start looking at list of NoSQL databases, and then which one is better, and then how do we basically start suggesting or adding components to it which will improve or which will help the customers out, right? So that kind of a mindset can be set in if you start looking at it. So the reason I'm put in place is primarily to basically help you out in terms of what are the areas you can focus on. And this is one of the examples which I talked about, right? So when we provide a database or when we provide the trend to the customer, so we should also be providing the trend in terms of where exactly, how do I basically take you from here to the next level, right? Not just leaving them with an RDBMS and providing them a proper structure, but don't worry about the complexity of it. Is highly complex, but I'm just giving you the areas, right, where, for example, if you want to basically provide a data integration part, where exactly I do a data ingestion. How do I basically do the data ingestion part? What are the things I need to do, right? Do I do the same data ingestion in RDBMS? If not, what steps I need to take? What tools I need to take? So these are the innovation or these are the thought process which we have put in place to help the customer out. And this is primarily due to an expansion of the databases or the changing trends. The emerging trend has basically pushed us to the customer saying that, hey, look, you have your database is growing and you have tons and tons of data which is basically flowing in, and you cannot go beyond this. And this is where you need to change. So we have put that part very clearly, and then we are pushing it to the customer. So if you look at it, as I said, right, so we need to look at each and every aspect of your database, and then what other database which basically has, and what are the emerging components which is, for example, I'm providing a HBase with this Hive, and or I can provide a Cassandra a kind of a technology. So if we do some research on this, because the changing trends are pretty huge, because if every day new software comes up, new databases comes up, and then they provide different services or they have different features. So what we normally do is we basically combine all these features, put a rating over there or a scoring for that, and then look at the customer expectations, and we provide this, and we go about suggesting to the customer saying that, do I need to basically provide a HBase and a Hive, or do I need to provide a data stack which is Cassandra and Kafka or Flume kind of stuff. So what exactly I need to do? So we decide on that, and then for example, like the data lake, do I need to provide a data lake to you, or do I need to provide a distributed data systems, right? So this is primarily an emerging trend, right? Moving on to the graph database, you must be working on graph database and you must be familiar with it, but I'm just put in place here. And then I also provide you one slider in terms of what the graph database is all about and what we have done actually on this. Right, you understand the nodes, edges, and properties of this. This basically helps you out in terms of mapping things very clearly. I'll show you what exactly. I'll come back to this one. Yeah, this is one BFSI which I could think of where I thought of sharing it with you, where there was a requirement from the customer saying that, hey, look, I am struggling with my data lineage. You understand the lineage, right? At the end-to-end activity of what data basically does. How do I, so suppose banks basically, I'll give you a scenario. Banks do go through audits on a periodic basis. And audits basically, when auditors come in and question, they need to provide the steps they have basically put in place and then how they have achieved it. And they have to go back each and every step to help them out. This is what we talk about from a lineage perspective. So when we went back to the customers, we said, see, there are two ways of looking at it. I cannot just simply provide you a data lineage. I need to provide you an object lineage as well. So what is object lineage? How do I basically combine A to A plus B? From A plus B, how do I basically derive C? And what are the components which are there between A plus B? That's what we are talking about here, right? So then we said, that's the object lineage, plus on top of it, we provided the data lineage. This is the data lineage which we used. And we provided using a GraphDB. And then this was basically developed using Neo4j. Neo4j is one of the graph database or graph tool which you can use. The reason I'm explaining is the trend, right? Trend we are setting it, right? Though these databases are there, so this basically sets a bigger trend in terms of solutioning and in terms of what capabilities we can use from these tools, right? How do I basically go about? See, if you really look at it, we basically started doing it only for a database perspective. Then we went big time in converting this to a big data side of it, from a database to a big data side. And then we have also done it for SAP. So now we can understand, right? So it's the underlying layer of data is the same, or a database is the same. The concepts of database are the same. So on top of it, we are basically having these building blocks. And how do we arrive at the building blocks is what we need to decide in terms of what these industry trends are driving, and then what technologies have emerged out of these industry trends. And then how do I basically apply this technology, and where do I basically position those tools respectively for us to basically gain mileage. So this is how we normally go about doing it. So primarily, this is just to explain you in terms of like, how do I basically go about doing this one, right? For example, Cassandra, all these are cloud databases, right? Primarily, if you look at MarkLogic is one of the good tools or databases which were used, but there are other plus and minus over there. and Dynamo or SQLite or SQL Server, Microsoft Azure and Postgres. All these are primarily into cloud, and they are basically competing with each other in terms of what they can do. For example, CouchDB is primarily your you can look at a documentation part, Documentum kind of a database, right? MongoDB is one. So you have a lot of databases which are emerged out of this because of the change in trends, right? Right from a relative, if you go back and then look at it and relate all this, from a DBMS to your RDBMS, the business changes, business was emerging, and the trends has set them to basically move from DBMS to RDBMS, and then from RDBMS to the NoSQL or a semi-structured, unstructured data, data capture using Hive or HBase. HBase. Hive is primarily structured one. So sorry about it. And getting into the other areas, like for example, Cassandra is one where it can provide you a specific way in which you can capture your unstructured data. So what I'm coming back to is the emerging trend in the industry on the database side is primarily being driven by the business, but when the technology changes drastically, and it basically changes the entire landscape of how the data is being captured, what are the activities you carry out, right? And how you can start thinking in terms of what next, what do I need to provide. So the questions which the business would ask is, right, so what next? So that's the question which they'll be asking. So then we'll be in a position to gear up and they say, okay, fine. So what is the question? Fine. I'll basically provide you Neo4j. Fine. This will basically address ABC of your issues. And then they will basically start looking into it, and then they'll see what exactly and how do I basically utilize this and then to improve my business, right? So this emerging trends from both business and the database, right, is falling in the right direction, and which basically helps us out in terms of getting into the next level and providing more better services. Okay, this is what I've explained you. Okay, so my last point, I think we are close to this one. Okay, what does the industry look at? Right, first thing is in-depth knowledge on at least 4 databases. This is what I have seen in the last 5-6 years, right? When I talk to various specialists out there in the US and UK, so they always come back and say that, okay, from the business side of it, we look at people to basically know at least 2 or 2. They should be very strong in 2 databases, 1 or 2 databases. They understand what exactly the concepts are, and then you should basically be in a position to debate with the experts, understand what exactly this is all about, and then you should go in depth and have an in-depth knowledge on that. For example, 2 on-prems and 2 clouds. And the exposure to other databases on-prem and cloud is very, 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 very important, right? So because the change in trend has pushed us to learn. In fact, that's what I was telling in my last forum, saying that change in this kind of a trend has pushed us to learn on a daily basis. So though you put 20 years or 30 years of experience, that doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, keep learning and keep understanding as to what exactly this is all about, what is changing, what is coming new, what is new in this one, right? For example, right, from machine learning perspective or an AI perspective, earlier we used to code, we used to sit and do coding for hours together on R and Python. Now we have tools like Alteryx and Azure ML and Big ML. All these are primarily having all these capabilities where you can simply do a drag and drop and you can start doing it. And they have a feature called Auto ML, which will also start suggesting in terms of which algorithm you need to apply. So things are changing or emerging, right? So when it is emerging, then the exposure to other databases or other areas are primarily required. So this is my suggestion from an industry, as an industry specialist. I've been in this industry for quite some time. So what I was suggesting, what I would suggest is have exposure to all the other databases, but be strong in 1 or 2, or at least 2 on-prem and 2 cloud, which is primarily required for us to even step into this area and then start our journey, right? Next one is how competitive we are. That's very, very, very important. This is, I think you must have been talking to several industry specialists who have been coming and talking to you. But Ask them about the competitiveness, how competitive we have to be and how competitive we are. This is the primary question which we need to ask and we should start focusing on. The next one is primarily informative. We have to be very informative in terms of keeping us updated, not only just on the technology part of it, domain, or if you are doing a project for an organization, understand what this organization does, what the business is all about, what are the competitors, what exactly they do, and what services they provide. So because these are all the things which will help you out in terms of expanding your knowledge, right, and be competitive with your seniors who are there. The last one is, and I basically the base of the attitude and aptitude. Right attitude is what industry is looking for, be it a database or be it a Java specialist or be it an XML specialist or whichever area. Attitude is the right go-getter is what they are looking at. Right, that's what the industry is primarily looking at. Aptitude, learning is the key for this industry. Right, keep learning, and they also always look at how good we are, what exactly we have learned, and how frequently we are learning. Right? Some people even look at certificates, but certification is one thing, one way where we can go and propagate. But knowledge is the best, where we need to acquire knowledge on a periodic basis. Last one is step back. This is what I always tell my people, saying that who works with me. Step back and have a look at it from a broader perspective. What exactly? Because when we start looking at a problem and start working on a particular area, we turn to basically focus only on that particular area. When you step back, you will have lot of options. You will understand things very clearly. And how do we basically adopt to such solution? Is it the only solution we have, or is there any other solution we have? Right? And see, then people normally talk about out-of-box solution and all this stuff. Those are all fine, but once you step back, once you start looking at a broader view, right, after out-of-box solution will automatically come and fall in place. So this is just my suggestion from industry perspective, and that's all from my end. Any questions?
Any questions, students? Any questions? Vedika? Vedika, are you there?
Ma'am, she's facing network issues. She'll join in 1 minute.
Oh. Any questions, students?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
So we talked about databases, data science, sir. I want to know one thing, sir. Currently, we are in the third year, and from the industry perspective, where do you think India stands in terms of all these kind of a career, in terms of career in database or data scientist or business intelligence as such? Where do you think what kind of a future you see in India versus the career which we can, if I want to be a data scientist, how is it different from rest of the world? Because we are trying to plan for what we want to do in future, whether in India or somewhere in abroad. So I would like to know how is the current industrial trend right now?
See, industry is always like it's growing, and India is one of the best place where you can really put your efforts and then do things and learn quickly. And then see, we have this exposure to various types of businesses, right? So the only thing what we do is we basically we go at a surface level. We don't do a deep dive. So this is where I could see the difference, right? But if, as I said, right, understand the domain very clearly, go deep into the subject, or take the particular domain, understand what exactly this is all about. See how does the data scientist evolve, right? It's primarily from understanding what your business problems are, right? How do I basically provide services? What exactly is your data, right? What exactly it does? How do I mine your data, right? What are the insights which I can bring to your table, which you wouldn't have thought about, right? Those are the things which we normally do. And I always say that the Indians are better logical thinkers, right? So I always go with that. So if you really look at it from an industry perspective, yes, data scientists, you can easily become a data scientist as long as we have the clear plan in terms of what you want to learn, how do you want to learn, and rather than getting into 10 different courses and doing it, start fixing yourself and then learn in a right direction, and then set your path in a very clear way. And then, because you cannot jump into a data science, or you cannot become a data scientist just like that, because it requires a lot of domain knowledge as well, right? It's not just write an algorithm which you can write, or you can use a C++ or a Python or a Java code, or okay. So it requires a lot of analysis on what your domain is, what exactly this is all about, how do I see the data, what insights I see there from a data perspective. So we have, so if you're in third year or fourth year, right, this is the right time for us to put our thoughts in place and take one simple domain and then start looking into it. Be it a complex domain like banking or insurance, and then or take one domain, understand the domain part. So that will start helping you out in terms of building your capabilities in that area, and then slowly expand.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Any other questions, ma'am? So thanks a lot for spending your valuable time, sir. One of our students willing to say a vote of thanks for you. Vedika, are you there? Yes. Yes, Vedika.
To have, ma'am, I have.
Yeah, you are audible, Vedika. Proceed, please. I think she's facing an issue. Just a minute, please. Okay. So we are teaching the students the theoretical class as well as how to implement in labs. But now I think they have got an idea about how this database is being implemented there in industry. So it was a wonderful session, sir. Thanks a lot for sharing your time with us. So thanks a lot, sir. Shall we wind up, sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks for this opportunity, and then all the best for all the students. Thank you, then.
Thank you. Students,
Thank you.
I have posted a feedback link. Kindly fill it. And this is not only feedback link, this is for your attendance also. Please fill
Thanks,
it.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Students, you please fill the form and then you can wind up.